Hey everyone, here is Bruno with Fernando. It has been a while that we don't do a live stream in English for all our international users. The idea here is to build a simple process on how to optimize campaigns using A/B testing for maybe marketing campaigns, maybe another kind of testing that you're doing inside your company. So the main goal here is to show this specific process, but also show new features, how to do stuff on Jestor, or it has been, I don't know, maybe 6 months that we don't do a live in English. So it has been all the documentation that we have, it's kind of outdated. So the idea here is also to show a few of these new features or UI UX improvements, and also help you to start building as fast as possible. So, Fernando, do you want me to share your screen, or do you want to say something before it?
I think that you can already start sharing. I think there's not a lot to say. Like Bruno said, we have a lot of new features of improvements over the past few months, and we didn't have many videos coming out in English. So the idea here is to build a simple template that's already available in the template store. So you can already go and download it if you want to use it. But we're going to build it from scratch, mainly to showcase some of the new features that were launched in the past few months, mainly like Gantt diagrams and some UX improvements. So as we usually do in the beginning of our broadcast, this is the end result of what we'll be trying to build here today. So the idea here is to build a template in which you can manage A/B testing for marketing campaigns. So there are some things. It's a simple structure to build. So there are some things that we're going to go over. The first one being the campaigns themselves. So, for example, if I come here to the campaign table, which I'm seeing as a Kanban view, I have a card for each campaign, and we have a Kanban byte status. And all we have for now is a picture for the campaign itself, a description, a budget for that campaign, and attachments if they are needed. And also, we're going to have this table, which we're seeing as a list view, in which we can see the tests for the campaigns. So, for example, for a specific campaign, we have the test with the yellow car and the test with the blue car. And this table is the one that we're going to be using for the Gantt view as well, that we're seeing in this app. So the idea here in the app, just a quick overview, is have the campaign for campaigns directly in the app, so I don't have to go to the campaign table. I have the Gantt diagram here that shows me the A/B testing, and so with some values that I can change here, so I can keep track of all the metrics and so on. And this is the Gantt view itself. So if anyone is familiar with this kind of feature, with this kind of chart, um, they're going to be familiar with how it works in Jestor. The main difference between Gantt views in Jestor and other platforms is that in Jestor you can bring all the information from the records themselves to the Gantt chart. So that's what you're seeing here. So you can not only see the information pertaining to time, to the period, the duration of that specific record, but you can also see metrics and the photo and have tasks attached to it. So it's a little bit more flexible, so you can do more stuff in the same diagram. And to finish it off, we have an indicator showing the total budget spent for all campaigns, the cost per lead of all the campaigns, and then I have a search filter in which I can choose a campaign, and then it shows me only the information pertaining to the campaign that I've chosen. So that's what we're going to be building today. First things first, I'm here in the same account, but I'm in a different workspace. Just to show you guys, all that's in this workspace is an empty app. So the idea is that we're going to be building stuff from scratch. So the first update that I think we haven't covered before is that now when you're going to create a table, you can already create a specific view for that table without having to set up before. So how did this work before? You had to create a table. So say you wanted a Kanban view. You had to create a single option field in which you have the stages, and then you had to activate a Kanban view for that specific table. So now you don't have to do any of that. You can just click, I want to create a Kanban view, and the table is going to be automatically created with all the setting up done automatically. It's still a table. Everything in Jestor is always coming from tables. Those are your databases. So every time you have data, you have a table in some manner. So Kanban views, Gantt views, list views are only views to see that information. But now the process of creating them is much easier. So the first thing that I want to create is a Kanban view for campaigns, just like this one. So I'm going to come here, click on Add New, and I'm going to click on Kanban. So you're going to see that automatically it's already creating the table with the necessary fields and views and so on. So I already have a Kanban. It already has a field for stages. It has a field for pictures, so I can have this other kind of view. I'm going to explain some things now. So one other change that maybe some of you have noticed is that I didn't have to name the table as I was creating. So before you had to create a table, but before you created the table, you had to say, oh, this is the clients table. This is the accounts payable table. So now you can just create it. It's going to come here. It's going to be created without a name. So you can just click here after it's created and add a title. So I'm going to call it campaign live, and then it changes the name. So you don't have to create this beforehand. It's a little bit easier, a little bit faster to create things now. Another thing that you guys probably notice is that the Kanban view has a new interface, has a new UX design. So that's mainly a rearrangement of how the fields appear, of how the values appear. But you're also going to notice that if you have a picture and if it's the first field to appear in the Kanban view, just like I'm showing here in my screen, it's going to have this view in which the image fills the top of the card. If I change this, I'm just going to give this as an example. So it changes to this other one, in which the field is in which the picture is part of the card, but it's not like the cover of the card. So we have this difference as well. There's a lot of other changes, like how buttons appear, how fields appear. I'm not going to cover them all today, but if you try to experiment with the new configurations, you're going to be able to find them really like very easily. Okay, we've created the Kanban. It was quite simple, just creating add new and creating a Kanban. So let's see the fields that we have in this campaign Kanban. So I have a title, and this I already have here. It's called record ID by default, but I'm going to just change it to title. I have a description, so I'm going to create a text field, and it's going to be a rich text field, so I can format in any way that I want to. I have a budget, so that's a currency field. I'm just waiting. Yes, created. So that's a currency field for the budget, and I can choose the currency symbol that I want. It could be dollars, it could be Brazilian reais, it could be any other kind of currency that you want to. I'm going to keep it as dollar. And this use budget, that's a query field. So basically I do a SQL query so I can get the information. I'm not going to do this right now because I need the other table with the testing to set up this field. So let's continue. We have a owner field. So that's just a user field that I'm going to use to assign an owner to this card. So I'm going to create this. I have the stages, which were already created when I created the Kanban. I'm just going to bring this information out to the table so I can edit it more easily. So I have the stages, and the stages that I have is planned, in progress, and done. So I'm going to change this. And as I change this, you guys, I'll show you something new, which is basically we have also a new way of setting up colors inside Jestor. So beforehand, we had just a few predetermined colors that you can choose from. So now we have this color palette. We have some suggestions, of course, but we also have a spectrum selector. So basically, any color in the color spectrum that you can put in as a hex as a hex value, you're going to be able to set it up. So basically, if I wanted to choose any other color, I could come here and choose it. For now, I'm just going to stick with the suggested colors. So I'm going to use this for planning. I'm going to put in progress. I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to use a different recommendation here. So maybe this one. Oops. Close again. And done, I'm going to use this green one. Okay. And let me see, we have the picture and an attachment field, which is basically a files field. So I'm just going to create this, call it attachments, and it's done. So I have all the necessary fields. I can choose which ones appear in the Kanban view. So I'm just going to replicate what I have in this one, which is description, budget, owner, and attachments. So this is what I'm going to do. Description, budget, owner, attachments. So another new thing that you will notice is that now even if a field is empty, it appears in the card. Because having a field empty or without any value at all is also an information. So people used to say to us, I want to know that there's no budget for this project. I want to see that budget is empty. So now we've changed it, and all the fields that you set up in the view settings is going to appear here, even if they're empty. And if they're empty, it's going to show you like that. So, okay, everything is done. I think that the only thing that I'm going to do here right now is copy the information from this Kanban to the other. So I'm just going to copy this information. So now
Sorry, I was talking, but I was on mute. But another thing that you could do is just duplicate the table. So if you go to the three dots on the left side of your menu, you have the option of just duplicate the same table. Fernando didn't do this because the idea here is to show how to build it. So, however, if you are building it on your own system and you want to try it, there's an option for that as well. So it's faster that way.
Yeah, I'm going to show you guys if I wanted to, I could just click here and duplicate it. But the idea here, like Bruno said, is to show you guys how to do this. So I'm creating it from scratch. So basically, it's done. All I have to do now is copy the images, and everything is done. Okay, so if I go to the Kanban view, this is just like the other one. And as you can see here, in this top part in which I have my views, the table is the main one. But if I wanted to change it, so the Kanban is the main one, I just have to drag it and drop it on the left side. And now whenever I go to this table, it shows the Kanban first. I can cycle through the views, but the Kanban is the main view. Okay, so now we need the A/B tests, which is, like I said, also a table that I'm seeing it as a list view, and also I have a Gantt view. For the Gantt diagram, we need some information, which is basically a start date, an end date, and then a period, a date range field that the Gantt diagram uses to set up the bars. So all I have to do again is click on Add New, click on Gantt, and it's going to automatically create the table with all the necessary fields for a Gantt view. So I don't have to create the date field for a start. I don't have to create the date field for the end. It's already created. Like you guys can see here, I can even click and set up the bars, the date ranges. And if I see this as a table, I can bring the information here. And you can see that I already have some standard fields for the Gantt view. So basically, what do you need for a Gantt view? You need a date field for start, you need a date field for end, and then you need this new field, which is the date range, which is basically a mirror for the start and end dates. And a cool thing about this is that it's not a separate field. It's just a mirror of the other two. So if I come here, click on this, let me show you on this one, which I think is going to be better. I can just click on this one and then select a specific range, and then automatically it fills up these other two. But if I change this field as well, you're going to see that it changes the date range. So they're basically just mirroring each other. So if you prefer to have separate fields for start and end, you can just hide the date range. But if you only want to see like the period itself, you can just hide the start and end and only use this one, because the information is going to be reflected on the other fields regardless. Okay, so we have another field here as well, which is color. It's a simple single select field, a single option field, which basically sets up the color of the bars. So if I come here, you're going to see that test 2 is this color, test 1 is green, test 3 is orange, which is what you're seeing here. So this doesn't have to be color field. It could be a type, a category. So you can use this as any other sort of information, but then add colors to it, so it's a little bit easier to identify when you're using Gantt view. So if we come here to the original template, you're going to see that we're using a field that we're calling platform. And then we're saying, oh, there's Facebook, it's blue, there's Google, it's red, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's Reddit, and they all have different colors, so I can easily see each one. So that's what we're going to be doing here as well. So we have Facebook, and I'm just going to add this one. It's Google. We have Instagram, which I'm going to assign some different color here. We have, I'm going to use this one for Reddit. and one for Twitter. So here you go. And then we already have the information. If I come back here, you're going to see that we have some more information. So we have a picture. We're going to create this as well. And then we have some other more important information for this process, which is the number of leads for this test, the cost in ads, and then we have a formula for the cost per lead, which is basically cost divided by the number of leads. So we're going to be creating those as well. So we have a number field for leads, so the number of people this specific test has brought to the website and converted. So we're going to have a currency field for the cost, and it's also going to be in dollars. And finally, we're going to have a formula for the cost per lead, which is, like I said, cost divided by the number of leads. So if you're seeing this, these symbols basically mean that this is a dynamic value that you're going to get from the record itself. We could have like a fixed value, like just like this, but we want dynamic values in this one. So I'm going to create this. And finally, I think we have all the information we needed. I'm just going to hide some fields. There you go. And I'm just going to replicate these tests that I had in the other template. Okay. I'm going to clean the date ranges so you guys can see on the other testing. So just filling up fields now. Okay, so let's copy the photos. And I've just realized that we have one field missing. I'm going to create this as soon as I finish copying the images. So there was one information missing, which is basically this one, the connection to say that this test belongs to a certain campaign. So we're going to create a connected records field and basically just connect it to the campaign live table that we had created before. Also, I just realized that I didn't name this table as well, but no problem. I can just name it right now. And there you go. And then I can just say that yellow card belongs to the Hits the Road campaign. Sound table and video games is for press play. And then I can just, I'm just going to press random information here for the leads. And the same thing for cost. There you go. So it's going to be automatically calculating the cost per lead if I have these information filled out. So we have the Gantt view, but if you guys remember here, Actually, the one that I'm using here for the table itself is the list view, which has a mechanism similar to the Kanban, in which if you have a picture as the first view, it's going to show like this. It's going to be like the cover of the record. So I'm just going to press this plus icon here to add a view, select new list view. I could also just come here on the on this part of the table and click on list. There you go. So I can edit the information that I want. So what I want here is description, leads, costs, and cost per lead. So this is what I'm going to do. Cost, leads, cost per lead. So I'm just going to refresh this. And basically, that's what we have here. I'm just going to delete these examples that are created when you use the shortcuts. And there you go. We have the list view, just like we wanted. I can even come here and say which campaign this test belongs to. So here you go. So now that I have the list view and the for A/B tests, and I have the campaigns, what I want to do here is create the same dashboard that I had in the other template. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So the first thing that we're going to create is this Kanban, this reduced view of a Kanban. So we have these shortcuts for most used blocks or components. So for forms, texts, charts, I can just click here and it's going to invoke this this setting up screen. But if I wanted to build more stuff, different stuff, I can just click on more blocks and go to the component that I want, which is this one, Kanban view. So I'm going to name it Kanban. It's going to be seen Kanban live. And I want to see the picture on the top. So it's the cover of the card. And let me see, we have here description, budget, and use budget, but we don't have that information yet. So I'm going to see this by stage, and I'm just going to create it. And there you go. It's just like the one we have here. So, okay. Now we're going to create a Gantt chart here in the app, which sees the A/B tests. And I can just keep selecting. So for the date range field, I use the date range field that was automatically created when I created the table. I'm going to use the single option color for the color of the Gantt bars. And if I just create this as it is, that's what we're going to be seeing. Just the Gantt diagram, right? So this is all the information that we're going to see. This is a classic view of a Gantt chart. But I want the information from the records themselves. So to do this, I just have to edit this component, click on Enable Site Table, and then I can set up all the fields from the record that I want to see here. So I want to see the picture, I want to see the campaign, and I want to see leads, costs, and cost per lead. So if I save this, there you go. I have all the information. I could have more information, could have less information. I can hide this if I want to. I can change the period that I'm seeing. So bars will be smaller or bigger depending on the precision that I need. But that's basically it. So if I press here, it's going to automatically create the information in the tables themselves. And like any other Gantt view, you can just change the size, and that's going to change the date field accordingly. I can also move the information around and so on. Okay, so now we need an indicator for total budget spent and a chart for CPL per campaign. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to click here, new block, and I'm going to start with the indicator. So this is, I forgot, it's total budget spent. And I'm going to get this from the A/B tests because this is the information. This is the table which has the cost information. I'm going to see the cost field, and I'm going to sum the total of everything created. So there you go. I already have the indicator, and now I'm going to create, by clicking on new block, I'm going to create a chart, which is this one. And here I have more than one chart that I can create with this block. So I'm just going to put here CPL per campaign. It's also seeing the A/B tests. Oh, I have to set up the type of chart that I want beforehand, sorry. So this one is a simple bar chart. There you go. And now I can add a series to the chart. I can add multiple series to the chart if I wanted to have more than one information. And it doesn't have to be data from the same table. I don't have to get only information from A/B tests. I don't have to get only information from campaigns. If I want this information from the tests, but then get the number of leads in an accounts table, and then get information from a accounts payable table, and then get the information from a bugs report part of Jestor. I can get information from wherever I want, and it's not limited by only being able to see from one table or from the workspace that you're at. So you can always pull information from wherever you want inside Jestor. So, but this is a simple one. All that I need here is get information from A/B tests, the x-axis variable, which is the horizontal part. Let's say the categories that I want to see is the test itself, right? So the test is the horizontal category. So this is the record itself. So I choose record ID. And the y-axis variable, which is this one, the vertical one, is the cost per lead. So I'm just going to go here and choose CPL. So we have some optional things here. Just to give an example, so I'm just going to put CPL. I can change what's going to appear on the chart when I hover the cursor. And the color that I'm going to choose is red. So I'm going to see everything. There you go. And now I can just resize and move this around by dragging and dropping. I can also do some stuff. So as you can see here, I have this part which shows me that this bar is for CPL. This is useful if you have more than one series. As I only have one, I'm going to remove it. But I can also say that I want to see the exact value on the top of the chart, of the bar. So I'm just going to click on this. And there you go. I don't have to hover the cursor anymore to see the information. It's already appearing on top of the bar. The last thing that we're going to build on this app is the search filter, which is this one in which I select a campaign and then I just filter the information of all the other blocks accordingly. So I'm going to click on new block, search filter. I'm going to name this filter. And the button name is what appears here. So I'm calling it campaign. I'm going to choose a color, which is red, like this one. And the type of button is record ID. This means I'm going to search a table and select a record from it, which is what I'm doing here, right? I'm selecting a campaign from the campaigns table. So it's going to get information from the campaign line table. And now I can select the blocks that this is going to filter. I don't have to filter everything at the same time. I don't have to filter every block, every component that appears in my app. If I want to build a filter button that only filters one specific block, I can do this as well. In this case, we're going to filter everything, but you don't have to. So the first thing that we're going to filter is the Kanban, and it's going to be filtered by the record itself because the campaign is seeing campaigns. I'm selecting a campaign, and it's going to filter the same thing. I'm going to filter the Gantt diagram by the campaign field. I'm going to filter the indicator by the campaign field as well. And I'm going to filter the cost per lead chart by the campaign field. So I'm going to create this filter. I'm just going to drag and drop this here. And now we can see if it's working as intended. Yes, it appears that I set up everything correctly. So whenever I change the campaign, it's going to show me only information relevant to that campaign. So there's one last thing that we haven't built yet in the other template, which is the use budget, which is this field, which is a more advanced field. It's the query field, in which you can basically use a SQL query to fetch information from other places. So the idea here is that I can have multiple A/B tests for a specific campaign, and I want to see how much I'm using for that campaign. So I can do this through this advanced field. I'm going to use the same query, just so. There you go. I'm just going to copy it because it's a little bit easier. I'm going to explain how it works. It's just to be a little bit faster. So I'm going to go to the table. I'm going to create the query field. It's going to be called budget used. And now I can set up the query. So basically, it's a little bit more advanced field. There's a lot of things you can do it. In this case, what we're going to do is search for A/B tests that point to the campaign that we're seeing, and we're going to sum the costs. So what we're going to do here, for those that don't know how SQL query works, basically select is the operation or the information that you're going to get, the fields or the sum and so on. From is the table where you're getting the information from, and where is the set of conditions. It's kind of like the filter for the search. So it's going to look at the campaign lives table. So I can actually come here to the browser and just copy and paste. So the table itself has a specific ID. So when you're doing things in more technical, advanced features of Jestor, you're not going to be using the label name, which is campaigns or A/B tests. You're going to use the API name, which is a unique name that you have inside Jestor. But actually, that's not what we want. We want to see the A/B tests table. So I'm going to get that information now. and it's this ID. Okay. So in this table, which is A/B tests, I'm going to filter for all the records in which the field campaign is the same ID. There you go. It's the same ID as the record that I'm seeing. So just like in the formula field, whenever you see these symbols, it means you're getting information from the record that you're at. And then I'm going to sum the cost field and call it amount. So I think that's going to work. The result is going to be something in currency formatting, and then I have to test the query to see if it works. If it doesn't work, it won't allow me to create the field. But it did work. It did what I intended it to do. So I'm going to create it. And there you go. I can see the budget used for each campaign, and it's going to update automatically whenever you refresh the browser. It's going to show the most up-to-date information. So that's basically it. So if we go to the app, now we basically have created from scratch everything that you see in this template. Of course, we took here like 40 minutes in this broadcast, but it's mainly because I explain a lot. But it's very easy. It's something that I probably waste like 10, 15 minutes creating. It's very easy, very quick to do. We've released a lot of new features that are very focused on creating things fast and in more simple ways. So the idea here is that this is a template that you can already download, but if you want to change it, you can download it and edit it, or if you have some other ideas that are kind of in a similar like type of operation that you're seeing here. So in this video, you already have the tools necessary to start building from scratch if you don't need to use template.
Yeah, another way to learn how to build Jestor is just to see examples of templates. Maybe you can create an account just to download templates. It's not actually downloading, only installing in your account, and then you can go and edit a field, edit a view on your app, for example, this kind of stuff. So, for example, Fernando just copied some code from an SQL field. You could do the same just to see how it works. Change it if you want, and yeah, we'll probably bring more lives in English as well. If you guys want any kind of example or implementation or tool that you want us to just build here, just let us know and we will bring more content for you also on our main channel, which is Jestor on YouTube. Okay, thank you, Fernando, and see you next time.
See you.